Have you ever wondered why your heart feels restless, even when everything on the outside seems just fine? There are days when nothing major happens yet. Deep inside, it feels like there's a quiet storm brewing. We try to chase peace in our jobs, our relationships, our vacations, our goals. But the more we chase it, the more it seems to slip through our fingers. Then one day, we come across the Buddha's timeless words, "Peace comes from within. Do not seek it without." That one sentence feels like a wake-up call. Suddenly, we realize what we've been searching for all along was never out there. But how do we truly come back to ourselves? How do we find stillness in such a noisy, restless world? In today's video, we'll explore the deep wisdom of the Buddha, not just to understand peace as a concept, but to live it, practice it, and grow it from the inside out. 1. Understand the nature of the mind. Stop blaming yourself. In the Buddha's teachings, the mind is often compared to a monkey, always jumping, always restless, never still. It swings from yesterday's regrets to tomorrow's worries, from fear to desire. And just like that, we're swept away without even knowing it. This monkey mind leaves us feeling tired, scattered, and overwhelmed. Sometimes, nothing even happens, but the mind has already imagined 100 worst-case scenarios. One comment from someone, and suddenly the mind spins a whole story, creating hurt, sadness, or anger. But here's the key, that restlessness isn't a flaw. It's the natural behavior of the mind. It doesn't mean you're broken or weak. It simply means you're human. Understanding this is the first step to peace. You don't need to blame yourself every time your mind won't settle, or when focus feels out of reach. Instead of forcing your mind to be silent, learn to gently observe it, without judgment, without resistance. It's like standing beside a river. You don't have to jump in to stop the current. You just stand there and watch the water flow. Mindfulness, the mirror that reflects your thoughts. Practicing mindfulness is like cleaning a dusty mirror. At first, the reflection is blurry. The mind is noisy, distracted, reactive. But if you sit still, breathe deeply, and just watch without fighting your feelings, without chasing your thoughts, the mirror slowly becomes clear. You begin to notice, oh, this is worry. This is an old memory. This is my inner critic talking again. And something magical happens. When you simply observe your thoughts without clinging to them, they begin to fade like clouds passing through the sky. We often think that peace means having no thoughts. But true peace is this: thoughts still come, but you are no longer swept away by them. Emotions still arise, but you no longer react blindly to them. That's where real inner freedom begins. It's not the noise around you. It's the noise within. Have you ever sat in a completely quiet room, yet your mind feels like it's in chaos? And other times you're standing in a crowded street, but inside there's a strange sense of calm. It reminds us that peace isn't about the environment. It's about how we relate to our own mind. Mindfulness doesn't ask you to go live in a forest or climb a mountain. It starts with small, simple things. One mindful breath. One conscious step. One pause to check in and ask, what is my mind doing right now? From monkey to companion, befriending the mind. And slowly, the mind that once jumped like a monkey becomes more like a companion, still active, but calmer, clearer, more honest. Understanding the nature of your mind opens the door to a new way of living. No forcing, no controlling, no resisting, just being with the mind as it is, with compassion, with patience. And when you're kind enough to sit with your own mind, peace will come not as something you chase, but as something that gently arrives, like a flower blooming after the rain. 2. The practice of acceptance. Letting go to find inner peace. On the path of spiritual growth, one of the hardest lessons isn't learning how to sit still. It's learning how to let the heart accept reality when things don't go our way. Human nature craves control. We want life to follow our plans, to go as expected, to align with our personal desires. But life is like a river, constantly flowing, constantly changing, often moving in directions we never saw coming. The Buddha teaches that suffering doesn't come from the event itself. It comes from our attachment to how we think things should be. When we can't accept what's happening, we resist. And the more we resist, the more unsettled we become. But acceptance doesn't mean giving up. It's not passivity or resignation. True acceptance is an act of wisdom, a conscious realization that this is what's happening. I don't have to like it, but I won't waste more energy fighting what I cannot change. Let's say you're going through a difficult season, a job loss, declining health, or a broken relationship. You can choose to struggle against it, complain, curse fate, or you can pause. Take a deep breath and gently tell yourself, this is how things are right now. I don't have to love this moment, but I can learn to walk through it with calm and dignity. When you stop resisting, healing begins. The amazing thing is when we stop resisting, something opens up inside. That space, that softening, is where healing begins. Resistance carries tension, pain, and inner conflict. But acceptance brings a kind of gentleness, and within that gentleness, peace begins to rise. Acceptance is also the root of letting go. Many people want to let go of pain of someone who left, of a past that lingers, but they can't. Why? Because deep down, they haven't fully accepted that it's over. They're still hoping it might change, still waiting for closure, still expecting a different ending. But when you can say, it happened, they're gone, that door has closed, only then can your heart start to feel lighter. Letting go is no longer a struggle. It becomes a natural result of true acceptance. Accepting your inner emotions. Acceptance isn't just about the outer world. A mindful life also means learning to accept your inner experiences, your emotions, your reactions, your storms. Sadness, anger, loneliness, vulnerability. They're not weaknesses. They are part of being human. Many people think spiritual practice means being happy and peaceful all the time. So when they feel upset or broken inside, they judge themselves. But Buddhism doesn't teach us to suppress emotions. It teaches us to face them with compassion. For example, when anger arises, you don't need to suppress it or explode. Just pause, breathe, and say quietly in your mind, I see that anger is here. That's it. You're not running away. You're not pretending it doesn't exist. And you're not acting on it impulsively either. That mindful acknowledgement alone can begin to calm the fire. Acceptance is an act of courage and wisdom. To truly accept, we must release the need to control everything. We must let go of the old expectations, the outdated stories, the images we clung to so tightly. And in return, we receive something far more valuable, unshakable peace. Because peace doesn't come from everything being perfect. Peace comes when we learn how to live with things that are not perfect and still remain at ease. So, next time, life doesn't go the way you hoped. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" maybe gently ask, "Can I allow this to be what it is just for now, and trust that I'll move through it?" And that moment, that quiet acceptance, might just be the beginning of your deepest healing. 3. Protecting your energy. Letting go of what drains you. In the Buddhist teachings, energy is considered an invisible yet deeply valuable asset. You can't measure it with numbers, but you can absolutely feel it when you're full of vitality or when you're completely drained. Have you ever woken up in the morning already feeling tired even though nothing big happened the day before? Or finished a conversation with someone and felt like all your energy was sucked out of you despite them not doing anything obviously harmful? That's when you're unconsciously leaking your energy. In Buddhism, protecting your energy is seen as an act of wisdom, because the mind can't stay peaceful when energy is depleted. And energy doesn't just disappear. It gets slowly drained, bit by bit, by the world around us. Toxic relationships, high-stress environments, harmful habits we repeat daily, even the endless stream of negative news we scroll through on our phones. The Buddha taught, set boundaries like someone who values their own well-being. Loving yourself doesn't mean pampering yourself. It means knowing when to say no. No to invitations that leave you emotionally exhausted. No to conversations full of complaining and blame. No to spaces that make you feel tight, anxious, and disconnected from yourself. But boundaries don't mean building walls. Boundaries are a conscious form of compassion. When you realize you need space to rest, you put your phone away. When you feel someone is bringing too much negativity into your space, you take a step back gently without blame. Setting boundaries also means looking inward and adjusting your own habits. If you're constantly sleep-deprived, eating erratically, and neglecting your body, you're creating leaks in your own energy system. So, protecting energy isn't just about guarding from the outside. It's also about restoring balance from within. Recharging your energy with simple, sacred practices. There are 3 ways often encouraged by the Buddha and meditation masters to replenish energy in a healthy, soulful way. 1. Meditation. Returning the mind to balance. Even just a few quiet minutes each day, sitting still, breathing deeply, observing your own mind can help restore the spiritual energy you've been losing throughout the day. 2. Gentle movement. Letting energy flow again. The body and mind are not separate. When you stretch your body, take deep breaths, or move gently, the blocked energy begins to flow again. It doesn't need to be fancy. A few mindful stretches or a slow walk through the garden can work wonders. 3. Nature. Coming home to the soul's original refuge. When you walk beneath trees, sit quietly by a stream, or simply look up at the sky, you're tapping into one of the purest sources of healing energy. Nature doesn't need words. It simply offers presence. And presence heals. Protecting your energy is not selfish. It's an act of compassion toward yourself. Some people say, I don't want to disappoint anyone, so I just keep pushing myself. But the Buddha reminded us, if you don't take care of your own body and mind, how can you possibly take care of others? When you learn to protect your energy, you're practicing true compassion. And when your inner energy is whole and steady, you naturally radiate peace to others, not through effort, but through your very presence. 4. Rewiring the mind, escaping the loop of stress and negative thinking. Once you've begun setting healthy boundaries and nurturing your body and mind through meditation, nature, and mindful living, you naturally enter a deeper layer of inner work. How to free yourself from the invisible loops of negative thinking that replay in your head every day. Because inner peace is not just stolen by the outside world, it's often drained quietly by the old patterns inside us that we haven't yet seen clearly. Have you ever noticed that when stress hits your mind, tends to react in the exact same way? Each time, some people immediately worry, imagining the worst-case scenarios. Some turn inward, blaming themselves and drowning in guilt. Others lash out or shut down completely, as if the whole world is falling apart over a small trigger. These aren't random reactions. They're well-worn grooves in the brain-mental paths carved out over time. And like a trail through tall grass, the more we walk the same path, the deeper it gets, and the harder it becomes to break free. So, whenever something goes wrong, we unconsciously return to those old mental tracks. In Buddhism, this is called habit energy, a psychological momentum. We carry sometimes not just from this lifetime, but from many before, if you believe in rebirth. Whether you see it through a spiritual lens or a psychological one truth remains: we are not truly free if we keep reacting the same old way without knowing why. Mindfulness, shining light on invisible habits. The first step to getting out of these loops is not to fight them, but to see them. You don't need to get rid of your negative thoughts. Trying to push them away only makes them stronger. What you need is a simple yet profound skill recognition. When a thought arises, don't follow it. Just softly name it: worrying, thinking, overanalyzing. Anger is here. It's like stepping out of the river and watching the water flow by, instead of being swept away by the current. You are no longer the thought. You are the one observing the thought. And in that small but sacred distance between you and the thought, freedom begins. The freedom to pause, the freedom to choose, the freedom to stop walking that old painful path, creating a new mental path, calm, aware, and free. Every time you pause and simply acknowledge what's happening inside without judgment, you're slowly rewiring your brain. The circuits linked to stress and reactivity weaken. New connections rooted in calm clarity and compassion begin to form. This isn't just spiritual theory, it's backed by neuroscience. Your brain is not fixed. It changes based on what you repeat. This ability is called neuroplasticity. What you do every day, whether it's worry or mindfulness, becomes your mind's architecture, So each time you stop, take a breath and gently label anxiety or unrest. You're carving out a brand new path in your mind. At first, it's unfamiliar, but if you stay consistent, that new trail becomes your new normal. And the old mental whirlpools, no matter how deep, will begin to fade. Your mind is not the enemy. It's a child that needs gentle guidance. When you begin to understand how your mind works, you stop blaming yourself for being anxious or reactive. Instead, you see those responses like a frightened child panicking in the dark, needing a calm adult to say, "It's okay, I'm here." Mindfulness is that calm presence. It's not there to control you. It's there to witness, to listen, and to be fully present. And in that presence, everything begins to soften. 5. Calm in the storm. Peace is not about escaping. Life is unpredictable. One day may be calm, the next might bring a storm. A sudden piece of bad news, a loved one falling ill, a broken relationship, a failed plan that once seemed certain. And in those moments, our first instinct is often to run, to find shelter, to look for someone or something to hold on to, or to simply hope the storm will pass quickly. But the Buddha once shared a profound truth. True peace is not found in the absence of storms. It's found in the ability to stay still in the middle of them. Silence doesn't mean there is no noise. It means that within all the noise, you still hear the quiet voice inside you. Meditation, a shelter in the heart of the storm. When life shakes you both on the outside and within, the first thing you can do is stop. You don't have to fix everything right away. You don't need to respond with urgency. Just pause. Sit. Breathe. Come back to yourself. This is why meditation is called a refuge. It may not change what's happening around you, but it transforms how you walk through it. When you sit, quietly close your eyes and return to your breath. You slowly begin to pull yourself out of the emotional tornado. Inhale, you know you're inhaling. Exhale, you know you're exhaling. With each breath, with each moment, you return to your body, your mind, your presence. Mindful breathing, the anchor in a chaotic sea. You don't have to wait for a quiet room or a full meditation session. You can practice mindful breathing anywhere. Driving, waiting in line, standing before a difficult conversation. Just one breath. Soft, aware, present. Silently say to yourself, "I know I'm breathing." That's it. And yet that tiny act helps you take one step back from the storm inside you. Just like a boat tossed by waves, if there's a strong anchor, it won't drift too far. Mindful breathing is that anchor. It keeps you grounded in the present so you don't get swept away by anxiety, anger, or overwhelm. Stepping back isn't giving up. It's seeing more clearly. Sometimes when everything around you feels out of control, the most courageous thing you can do is pause. In Buddhism, this practice is called insight, meditation, noticing what's really happening instead of reacting blindly. You don't need to rush to fix the situation. You don't need to search for an exit. Just breathe and gently ask yourself, what's really going on here? What is my mind doing? Is there something I'm avoiding? And if you're quiet enough, the answers will come. Often, just seeing clearly is enough to calm the chaos within. The mind doesn't have to be still. It just needs not to be swept away. You don't have to force yourself to be perfectly calm. In the middle of a storm, it's natural to tremble. But what matters is this: you know you're trembling. You're present with the fear, with the anger, with the ache, without letting it carry you away. Mindfulness doesn't erase emotions. It brings light to them. And in that light, the mind becomes rooted like a deep tree holding firm in the wind. There's a beautiful Zen saying, "Do not chase the clouds. Do not cling to the sun. Just sit quietly and watch the sky change." Peace in the storm isn't a distant dream. It begins here now. A minute of silence, a single breath, a quiet step back to observe. These small moments are the seeds of unshakable peace. And when you practice them long enough, you'll realize the world is still the same, but you are not. 6. Creating a peaceful space where body and mind can breathe together. Have you ever noticed how just walking into a cluttered room, dim lighting, stale air, things scattered everywhere instantly, makes your mind feel overwhelmed, restless, even irritated? On the other hand, stepping into a space that's clean, simple, filled with soft light and a touch of nature, somehow your shoulders drop, your breath slows, and peace arrives even if no one says a word. That's because our outer environment directly affects our inner state. The space around you can either nourish your mind or quietly disturb it moment by moment without you realizing it. In Buddhist teachings, the element of place, the environment in which we live, is considered one of the key conditions that affect the practitioner's ability to dwell in peace. The more harmonious and grounded the external space is, the more easily the mind can return home to stillness. Decluttering the room is decluttering the mind. A messy room is not just a visual issue. It overwhelms your nervous system and distracts the mind. Every unnecessary item becomes a silent reminder of unfinished business, forgotten priorities, or indecision. That's why the first step to creating a peaceful space is letting go of what you don't need. It's not about following minimalism as a trend, but about making room for your space and your mind to breathe. A clear table, a neat bookshelf, a quiet corner free from clutter can instantly soften the chaos inside. Cleaning can become a mindful act. As you wipe the table, fold clothes, or make your bed, do it as if you're taking care of your inner self. Go slowly. Be present. Treat it as a small ceremony to restore balance within. Light color and nature. Food for the soul. A room filled with natural light and gentle tones. Ivory, beige, leafy green, or warm wood can be like a deep exhale for the mind. In contrast, harsh lights or overly bright colors can stir agitation and unease without you even realizing it. If possible, bring a little nature into your space, a small plant on the windowsill, a vase of fresh flowers on the table, or simply letting the morning breeze flow through an open window. Nature doesn't need to take up much space. It just needs to be there. Its presence alone offers quiet healing. Sound matters too. If you live in a noisy environment, Try playing soft instrumental music. Gentle water, sounds, wind chimes, or bird song. Something that restores the calm. Sound is a wave, and peaceful waves reach deeply into your inner world. Create a quiet corner just to be yourself. Your space doesn't need to be big or expensive. What matters is having one small corner that truly belongs to you. A space where you can sit still, breathe, and not be disturbed. It could be an armchair by the window, a floor cushion, a little table with a candle, and a Buddha statue, or simply a quiet nook where you can put down every role you play and just return to yourself. Let that space be sacred. Don't use it to work, eat, or scroll your phone. Let it be your place of refuge where the body rests, the mind returns, and your heart smiles for no reason at all. Outer space reflects inner practice. When you care for your space with mindfulness, you are practicing Buddhism in daily life. Meditation isn't limited to sitting on a cushion. It lives in how you fold your clothes, organize your table, light a candle, or wipe away dust. Every small act, when done with presence, becomes a sacred teaching. Creating a peaceful space isn't just about making things pretty. It's about nurturing a slower, deeper, more meaningful way of living. One breath, one step, one gentle choice at a time. 7. Healing the past, letting go to move forward. Every one of us carries pain from the past. Maybe it was betrayal, a broken relationship, a sudden loss, or childhood wounds that never quite healed. Sometimes it's not even a big event, just a few careless words that somehow still echo inside us to this day. If we don't return to these experiences with understanding and compassion, they quietly become heavy baggage. And that weight, we carry it into every step of our journey forward. Buddhism doesn't ask us to forget the past. It doesn't tell us to erase our painful memories. In fact, the Buddha teaches before we can be free, we must learn to face what we've spent years running from. But facing our pain doesn't mean reliving it, drowning in it, or obsessing over it. It means gently turning toward it with mindfulness and compassion. Mindfulness, shining light on the shadows. When a painful memory arises, don't rush to push it away or punish yourself for feeling it. Instead, pause and say silently to yourself, "This is sadness. This is an old memory. This is a wound that still needs healing." Just naming what you feel softly, without judgment, is the first step toward healing. It's like walking into a dark room and gently turning on a light. The light of awareness doesn't erase the pain, but it takes away the fear and tension around it. In meditation, many teachers remind us, treat your emotions like a crying child. Don't scold them. Don't ignore them. Hold them with a heart full of understanding. When you can look at your own pain without fear, something begins to soften. And from that softening, letting go becomes possible. Forgiveness, a gift for others and for yourself. Forgiveness is hard, especially when the person who hurt you never apologized. But here's what forgiveness is not. It's not excusing what happened. It's not pretending everything's fine. It's not denying the damage that was done. Forgiveness simply means you're no longer letting the past control your present. You're choosing to let go, not to set them free, but to free yourself. And perhaps even harder than forgiving others is learning to forgive yourself. Maybe you made mistakes. Maybe you said things you regret. Maybe you chose the wrong thing, even when you knew better. But locking yourself inside guilt won't make you better. It only drives you further away from your own heart. The Buddha said, "A person who has made a mistake but sees it and corrects it has already begun the path of awakening." So instead of judgment, start with compassion. Look back, learn, and gently let it go. Not to forget, but to stop being bound. Meditation and writing two paths back to yourself. Sometimes, words aren't enough to release the pain we carry. And in those moments, don't do anything. Just sit, breathe, be present with whatever is alive inside you. Each slow breath allows you to meet your wounds without rushing, without forcing. Another powerful tool is writing. Take a sheet of paper and pour out your heart. Write what hurts. Write to the person you never spoke to. Write to your younger self. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be real. Write and then let it rest. Writing helps you release what's hidden in the dark. Each word is a step toward healing. Peace is not a destination. It's a journey. And this journey of healing, it doesn't begin with perfection. It begins with understanding your mind, protecting your energy, stepping out of the cycle of stress, accepting impermanence, finding stillness in chaos, creating sacred spaces to rest, and finally, healing the past so you can walk forward with lightness. This path may be winding. There will be heavy days, but the light is always ahead. As the Buddha reminds us, everything you need is already within you. Peace is not somewhere far away. It doesn't come from having everything figured out. It comes from those quiet moments when you truly return to yourself with honesty, compassion, and presence. 8. Cultivating compassion, healing yourself through loving kindness. In the Buddha's teachings, compassion isn't just a noble feeling we offer to others. It's not only about feeling pity for those who suffer or forgiving those who've hurt us. Compassion, first and foremost, is a gift we must learn to give ourselves every single day. Why? Because sometimes we are the ones who hurt ourselves the most. We blame ourselves for what we did or didn't do. We scold ourselves for being too weak, too naive, too trusting. We compare, criticize, and push ourselves to be better, stronger, more perfect. And slowly, those harsh inner voices begin to tighten the heart. We build walls, we hide our wounds, and we silently drain our own energy. Compassion doesn't make us weak. It softens the heart enough so healing can begin. When you pause and look at yourself with gentleness, not to make excuses, not to indulge, but to truly hold your wounded parts with kindness, something inside begins to soften. You might quietly whisper to yourself in moments of pain, "I see you're hurting. It's okay. I'm here with you." You don't have to be perfect to be loved. These simple words spoken with awareness and sincerity can heal deeper than any comfort offered from the outside. The Buddha once said, "Compassion is like nectar. It cools even the fiercest fires of anger within the heart. And it can also soothe the hidden wounds we're too afraid to show others, the quiet heartbreaks we carry alone. Love isn't just something to give away. It's something you need to nurture within. Have you noticed how when you truly care for someone, you become patient, forgiving, gentle, but with yourself, you're often harsh, demanding, and quick to anger? Why is it that you can comfort a friend when they're struggling, but can't offer the same kindness to yourself? Compassion that doesn't start from within will never be whole. Because if your cup is empty, how can you pour for someone else? That's why compassion must become a daily practice, a habit, a way of living. Practice loving kindness daily, like gently watering a plant with morning sun. You can start with a small practice each morning. 1. Sit quietly. 2. Breathe slowly. 3. Place your hand over your heart. 4. Silently say, "Oh, may I be at peace. Oh, may I be healthy. Oh, may I live with gentleness and without self-blame." And when you're ready, extend that wish to others, your loved ones, a friend, even someone who hurt you. This is called boundless, loving kindness in Buddhism. But it always begins with loving yourself. Compassion doesn't have to be loud or dramatic. It's a quiet warmth that keeps your heart from growing cold. In a world that constantly compares, judges, and competes, compassion is the shelter your soul needs to rest. Whenever you feel like you're not good enough, take a step back and ask, if I were my own best friend, what would I say to myself right now? You wouldn't criticize them. You wouldn't abandon them. You would sit beside them and say, "It's okay. I'm here. We'll get through this together." That's what you must learn to say to yourself again and again, gently, patiently, without rush. Because when love begins inside, it becomes the most powerful healing energy you will ever carry. It doesn't need to be grand. It just needs to be real. It just needs to be there. 9. Letting go of expectations. Because attachment is the root of disappointment. When you look deeply into your pain, you might realize this: much of your sadness doesn't come from what actually happened, but from how things didn't happen the way you wanted. You expected someone to understand you, but they turned away. You hoped your work would go smoothly, but obstacles kept showing up. You wished your loved ones would support you, but instead they criticized. And so, you feel disappointed, hurt, angry, discouraged. But here's the truth. What's hurting you isn't the situation itself. It's your unmet expectations. And expectations, whether aimed at others or yourself, are a subtle form of clinging. As the Buddha taught, where there is attachment, there will be suffering. Letting go of expectations isn't apathy. It's inner freedom. Some people ask, if I stop expecting, what's the point of anything? But letting go doesn't mean giving up on life. It doesn't mean becoming passive or indifferent. It means showing up with your whole heart, but not being chained to the outcome. You can still care for someone deeply without needing them to love you in return. You can still work hard without demanding that success show up on your timeline. You can still plant a seed without forcing it to bloom exactly when you say so. That's what living with mindfulness looks like. You act with clarity, with sincerity, and then you let go. In that release, you gain the most priceless gift of all inner freedom. Expectations are invisible chains. We tighten around ourselves every day. Take a quiet moment to reflect. What am I expecting from myself right now? What do I secretly want from others? And if things don't go my way, can my heart stay open? So much stress comes from the answers to those questions. You expect yourself to be perfect. So when you fall short, you beat yourself up. You expect others to always be kind, understanding, and supportive. And when they're not, it cuts deep. You expect life to be fair and predictable. And when it's not, you start doubting everything. But life is impermanent. People change. The mind is clear one day, foggy the next. How could things always go the way you imagined? Letting go of expectations helps you live fully in the now. When you release your grip on how things should be, you begin to embrace what is. You start to appreciate the small moments instead of comparing them to imagined scenarios. You see people as they are not through the lens of who you wish they'd be. You begin to say, I'm doing this because it feels right not to control the outcome. I love this person for who they are, not for who I want them to become. I give my best and let go of what's beyond me. That's the heart of mindfulness. Not numbness, not giving up. Just peace in the middle of life's beautiful unpredictability. Letting go feels like the sky never holding on to the clouds. Have you ever seen the sky try to keep a cloud? Clouds come and go. But the sky remains still vast, unshaken. Your mind can be like that. When you stop demanding that things go your way, you begin to live like the open sky light, free and wide enough to let everything pass through. Let your heart be the sky. Let your love be sincere. And let life unfold without needing it to match your script. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. That's not indifference. That's freedom. 10. Return to the breath, the gateway to the present moment. In every practice, the Buddha taught, the breath is both the starting point and the way back home. It doesn't require knowledge or special conditions. As long as you're alive and can feel the air moving through your chest, you can practice. The breath is the bridge between body and mind. When your mind drifts to the past or worries about the future, all it takes is one conscious deep breath to bring it back to your body. And when your body and mind come together in the same moment, that is the present. When you feel uneasy, don't try to control your mind. Just return to the breath. Many people try to fight off their emotions when they're anxious or sad. But in Buddhism, we don't need to battle the mind. We only need to awaken presence through the breath. For example, when you're feeling overwhelmed with worry, instead of chasing after 100 unanswerable questions, simply breathe in, knowing you're breathing in. Breathe out, knowing you're breathing out. Just that. If done mindfully, you'll notice the storm inside begins to settle. The breath becomes a safe harbor, a place to pause to listen and to not get swept away. One mindful breath is a step back home. Have you ever felt like you're alive, but not really present? Your body is here, but your mind is elsewhere, regretting the past, rushing through tasks, or fearing what hasn't even happened yet. That's why spiritual seekers need a place to return to a calm inner home amidst the noise of daily life. That home isn't far away. It's right here in the breath. Every time you're truly present with your breathing, you take a step toward yourself. No need to go anywhere, pack anything, or prepare. Just sit down. Close your eyes if you wish, and begin with, I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out. It sounds simple, but it's a quiet miracle. Because when you return to your breath, you return to life. The breath, your silent, faithful companion. No one taught you how to breathe when you were born, and no one can breathe for you when your life ends. The breath has been with you from your first cry to your last goodbye, yet most of the time, we forget it. Only when we're sick, breathless, or anxious do we suddenly realize, breath is precious. But if we return to it each day, not just in crisis, then it becomes the anchor that steadies our life. You can sit quietly for 5 minutes in the morning, or take 3 mindful breaths on your lunch break. Even while washing dishes, driving, or standing in line, you can practice mindful breathing. No one has to know. No special posture needed. Just you fully present, with the air moving in and out of your body. When you return to your breath, you stop running. We spend our lives running, chasing success, escaping pain, reaching for the future. But in all that running, we sometimes forget, where am I really going? And when did I leave myself behind? The breath is the bell that gently reminds you, pause, come back. Breathe because you are alive. You don't need a big breakthrough. You don't need to become enlightened overnight. Just breathe one breath at a time, one day at a time, with patience and love, and you'll begin to feel a quiet peace growing inside you. Gentle, but real. Life may still be noisy. There may still be days when you feel tired or lost. But if you can stop for even 1 minute each day to breathe and listen to yourself, you've already begun the journey back to peace. Peace isn't something you have to chase. It's already within you, just waiting for your gentle return. And in that sacred moment of presence, when you're no longer chasing, no longer running, you will touch a depth of stillness that nothing outside can offer. If today's message touched your heart, I invite you to continue this journey with us. Subscribe to the channel, Buddhism Seeds, for more heartfelt teachings rooted in Buddhist wisdom. Share your reflections in the comments below. Like this video and share it with someone you care about. Sometimes one simple sentence can heal an entire soul. May you always find peace in the present moment.